For many manual wheelchair users, the price of mobility is often pain. The Independence iGlide manual assist wheelchair provides an alternative. Our unique set of small lightweight motors enables wheelchair users to use less physical exertion in their everyday routine, as well as when navigating through tough terrain such as thick grass or hills. When a wheelchair user pushes the hand rims of the iGlide manual assist wheelchair, it activates just the right amount of force needed to propel the user.
When you're using the iGlide, you're feeling like you're using a manual wheelchair and that you are propelling it in the same manner that you propel a manual wheelchair, but what everybody else can't see is that it's being done with a lot less energy.
The Independence iGlide manual assist wheelchair establishes a new category of assistive technology devices.
There is more information and video footage of the Independence iBot mobility device and the Independence iGlide manual assist wheelchair at the end of this skills video.
This video has been sponsored by Ford to create further awareness of their unique service, MAGIC. MAGIC stands for Mobility and General Information Centre, which provides free and comprehensive information to people with a mobility question. All you have to do is to call one free number, 0800 240 241. 30 highly trained customer service advisors, many of whom are themselves disabled, await your call.
Many of the skills shown in this video require a considerable amount of skill and/or strength to perform safely. Therefore, we strongly advise you that you use extreme caution while practicing and performing the techniques described and shown in the video. Wherever possible, enlist the help of an assistant, but make sure they're experienced and physically capable when assisting you to attempt the more difficult techniques or performing skills for the first time. Finally, you must think carefully before you attempt any of the skills shown here, and decide whether you have the necessary assistance and confidence to execute them. Whoever you are, whatever you do, whatever the reason for you being in a wheelchair, Turning the Corner has been produced to help you get the most out of your wheelchair. Whether you're just getting started, or whether you've been a wheelchair user for years. It's also a video that therapists and wheelchair tutors can gain tips from.
Thank you, Ed.
Lorna Rose, a leading senior physiotherapist from Stoke Mandeville, will go through the basic skills and safety techniques, the building blocks.
Good job.
The experienced European wheelchair trainer, Tomasz Taziemski, will work through more advanced skills, like back wheel balancing and popping wheelies. And both Tomasz and Lorna will run through the ups and downs of slopes, stairs and steps.
Just build up a little bit of speed.
To demonstrate learning and using manual wheelchair skills, we've enlisted the help of people new to wheelchairs, people with some years' experience, and people who've been wheelchair users for many years now. We've filmed in the controlled, confined space of a spinal gym, in a specially designed, safe environment, and out in the real world. But don't feel that you're expected to be able to do everything that's shown. So, let's start at the beginning.
It's important that we get a chair set up for you in a way that enables you to push it as easily as possible, but you also need to be stable. Stability is very important for you. As you can see on this chair, the seat is sloping downwards, so you're sitting slightly deeper down here. but at the same time the backrest is upright to enable your trunk to be supported. That frees your hand so you can actually move on the wheels very easily but still be stable. We can enhance that slope on the seat through altering the wheel position on the side, so we can move it up and down, but we can also move it forwards and backwards. We can enhance the slope on the chair with your cushion, and you'll find that most of the cushions you're trying will be actually lower at the back but raised at the front. Your thighs will still be supported on the cushion, and your foot plate should always be adjusted so that you're well supported throughout.
Odejdź. I sierotek.
Once you're in the chair, get into the habit of checking your position, especially if you've just picked something up off the floor or transferred from a car. Positioning yourself properly in your chair is vital to minimize long-term complications and to maintain independence for as long as possible.
Whenever you get into the chair, what you need to be looking for is that you're actually in the middle of the chair. So you're looking at your head, your nose is over your breastbone, is over the middle of your legs. And if you look the other way, your shoulders should be level. And also if you just feel your pelvis, if you look at your thumbs when you put them on the pelvis, that should be level. Yeah, look in the mirror and check your hands look level. And when you look at your knees, can you see that they are level to you there? And they're also pointing straight ahead into the mirror. And your feet are also well back on the foot plates and nice and secure.
In order to push forward, you need to find a comfortable and effective hand position. Far enough back on the wheel to exert the necessary force, but not so far that it strains your back and shoulders. Some people like to grasp the push rings with their fingers and rest their thumbs against the tyre. If your actual hand grip is not so good and your arms aren't that strong, you can use the coating of your gloves to create a friction grip. Alternatively, coated push rims are available.
In the early stage of rehabilitation, the most important skill for most of the wheelchair users is just the proper technique of moving forward. Because this is what people have to do every day, and they have to learn to relax while pushing forward. Many of them move their arms and hands back and forth on hand rims all the time, so obviously shoulders and arms become tired much quicker.
The first thing is, could you feel that when you started off you just hit a little bit of a resistance?
Yes.
And the other thing is you just tend to topple forward a little bit. If we just deal with your pushing first. When you start off, can you see how your caster, just start pushing the wheel forward. Can you see how it wants to turn and it comes square on? Now if you come back again, before you kick off, just push on one hand and it'll turn, and then now push on both hands. Hands back and push, and you'll feel that it goes more easily. Now when you're pushing, rather than have short frantic strokes, just let me have your hand, you pushed forward, backward. You're working up here all the time. What I want you to do is pick up further back on the wheel, take a grip, release, and let your shoulder drop down and relax. Pick up and push and release. Pick up, push and release, and keep going.
The first time was really scary, wheeling yourself, until you meet a lot of other people. You see them wheeling around, so that builds your confidence up. And I thought, well, if they can do it, I'll have a go. So I'd follow them around and wheel around with them, and they give you a lot of confidence.
Just actually pushing the chair at first, it's really difficult, because with lying in bed for 3 months, you just waste away anyway. Plus my injury affected my arms. So it's just physically pushing the chair, actually moving. That's the difficult part.
The setup of the chair will enhance the performance of the user when they have very limited upper body strength and hand function. The height of the backrest also has an impact on this skill. It needs to be low enough to let the user extend their arms to the furthest push position, while still being high enough to provide adequate support for the user. Be careful when it's wet. Slowing down can be difficult, and no grip on wet push rims can suddenly change back to full grip as the rims dry out. The surfaces you're pushing on can make a difference too. Moving from paving stones to soft piled carpet to hard tiles could cause unexpected changes in speed and ease of pushing. And if you're carrying a load, you'll have to compensate.
When I was first in the chair, the most difficult thing for me was getting used to lack of balance. When my goddaughter came to visit, she was only 6 weeks old, and they put her in my arms and I just fell over with her.
Just managing your balance in a wheelchair is an essential skill, relearning how your body and your weight affect you, even though you may have lost some feeling.
You just learn that you can't use your trunk muscles. You have to learn a different way of balancing, and it's all head position and small movements and holding on every time you do something.
Bending over in a wheelchair to pick something up is about positioning and balance. If the surface is flat, wheel in beside the object, balance on your arm, and lean sideways to pick up. That way there's less likelihood of tipping forward out of the chair. And if there's a slight slope or camber, pop the brake on as well to stop any chance of the wheels rolling away as you bend down. Picking up a heavier object, you need more leverage. Grab the far wheel of the chair with your free hand so you've got something to pull against as you pick up the extra weight. Outside or inside, just moving around, you need to be able to turn your chair.
What you need to do is clamp on that side and then just bring your hand back here and turn around. So just keep your left hand on the wheel and push on the right and stop. That's one way of doing it. If you need to turn in a tighter spot, what you can do is just pull in opposite directions. So if you have one hand back and the other hand forward, and now just push in opposite directions. Just tight, nice and tight. Good.
You need good arm and hand control for a safe drag turn, so this manoeuvre should be treated with caution. You can also push turn, and road signs can be very convenient. Drag turns aren't normally recommended, but it's a useful skill which you could try when you feel confident enough.
Okay, Beverly, to push your chair backwards, it's very simple. You just feed the wheels. Just make sure you're doing it evenly, just like when you push forwards. But you need to keep looking over your shoulder to make sure you're not running into anything. So if you just turn your chair now, and also keep your head forward, okay, lean slightly forward, that's it. And then just push back. Both hands together, don't feed them, that's it. Yeah, just keep going backwards.
When pushing backwards, your balance may change, so take care when you look over your shoulder, and especially remember to lean forward first if you have to stop suddenly. Okay, you won't come across many custom-made slalom courses outside the gym, but all the skills and controls demonstrated here, pushing forward, chair turning, pushing backwards, are things you'll find yourself doing all the time, and in different ways, according to your age and abilities. Just as important as learning the skills is making sure you've got the right chair for you.
You would usually start off with a more stable chair, so the rear wheel would be in a more backward position, not behind the backrest, but in line or slightly in front. And that's really to give the use of the stability to learn the skills, then you can progress and gradually move the wheel forward, but it'll always be a balance between mobility and stability. That's always the payoff that you have to consider. The other thing that makes a difference is whether the wheels are able to slant or not, because again that greatly enhances the way that the chair will handle and therefore the effort of pushing the chair. With the very manoeuvrable wheelchair, it was very easy to see how much quicker he was in it, how much more confident he was in it. With the more standard NHS type chair, he actually did it very, very well, and he made it look incredibly easy, but he actually had to use more effort to turn it, but he also took more space, and that in your everyday life makes a lot of difference to the wear and tear on your joints.
Wheelchair users frequently encounter slopes and ramps. When going up the slope, lean your trunk forward. The steeper the slope, the more you need to lean. This helps give extra thrust to the push and maintains the weight on the front casters, stopping the chair tipping backwards. If you're concerned about getting up a slope in one go, you could zigzag instead. Remember to lean into the slope when you stop so you don't tip sideways. And don't apply the brakes too quickly, as the chair might tip back. When you go down a slope, don't go too fast. Lean backwards because gravity will try to pull you forwards. Keep your arms forward with your hands applying pressure on the push rims to control your speed. You can also zigzag down, but either way, before you set off, check for obstacles, or cracks, or changes in level. Again, as you come down zigzagging, be sure to lean your body back into the slope and apply pressure to the push rims. There are gentle slopes everywhere, and also little obstacles like thresholds. Small curbs, and patches of uneven or stony ground. Flicking your casters off the ground for just long enough to get over these obstacles, popping a partial wheelie, is an invaluable technique for helping you get around.
Okay, Ginny, we're going to have a go at getting your chair into a back wheel balance position and teach you to flick the wheels. Now to start with, I'm just going to take you back in the chair so you can feel. So just let me tip the chair back and just relax in the chair. Okay. And just put your hands on the wheel and just feel the chair.
Although you don't need to back wheel balance for the partial wheelie, it does help to feel how far back you have to go before you overbalance.
Whoa, you're falling. That's it.
This will give you more confidence when you do attempt the flick, popping a partial wheelie.
Now I'm going to teach you how to actually flick the chair up. So if you put your hands on the wheels there, what you're going to do is you're going to bring your hands back and then a short, sharp push forward and tilt your body back at the same time to try and get the weight off the front wheels. So I'm going to be here hanging on to you so you can't come back. Okay, so just try it and see how you go. Just try it first of all. Flick. And come down. Okay, so we're going to go over the stick, so you're going to use your flick. So just move up at good speed, but not rushing it. And then flick your wheels over and then carry on moving over. Just let's try it and then we'll see what happens. And flick up. Okay, right. You didn't get up high enough and you dropped them too soon. Okay, so come back. You need more of a flick. Let it run and clear the stick. Okay, so come again. And push, and flick when you're ready, flick, and over. Beverly, you're going to go over the mat, pretending it's a small curb. So flick up, go on, turn around and come back down. Dot will be behind you, just close to your chair. Dot, you just stay, hands on the handles, just ready to catch if Beverly overbalances, so make sure you're tight on the chair all the time. So in your own time, come forward and then flick when you're ready. Now Beverly, lean forward, well forward. Okay, and then just feed the chair backwards. Okay, Dot, if you just help, that's it. Just feed it back.
I found flipping the front wheels up onto a mat quite scary at first, but with more practice gave me a lot more confidence to actually do it. And now I can actually flip the wheels up and turn on the mat and come down quite safely, and that has really built my confidence up doing that.
It is the key to independence. If you can do back wheel balance, you are so much more independent as a wheelchair user, regardless of age or level.
First of all, it was very scary to be in this very unstable position, and in the beginning I really didn't know why I had to do this. But once I got this skill and realized how easier it is to overcome all daily obstacles, small curbs, etc., then I knew that this is really important for my everyday life.
The key to wheelchair skills is learning the back wheel balance, and once you've got that sussed, you can use it for getting up curbs, down curbs, going down slopes, going across rough ground, and once you can do it, it makes a big difference to your life.
What you get outside is not like in the hospital. Once you go outside, it's like, they didn't tell us about these big gaps in the pavements, and but just keep practicing, that's all I can say. Just got to keep practicing. And once you get it, you'll be away.
Well, to make a balance, first of all, please sit as deep in your wheelchair as possible. So move to the back. Please touch the backrest with your back. Really touch the backrest with your back. And then hold the hand rims in the highest point, somewhere near your hips or near the backrest, a little further back. Okay? And if your wheelchair is adjusted properly and it's quite tippy, like in my case, please look at me. If I gently push the backrest with my back, I can obtain a balance. But if it's too hard, try at the same time, while pushing the backrest with your back, push the hand rims forward. So once again, while pushing the backrest, push your hand rims, and your center of gravity is found by moving your wheels forward, backward, until you find it and you're able to stop the chair. But all the time, try to keep your hands in front of you. So if you are losing control, you can always pull back and lean your upper body forward. Okay, so let's try. Hold the hand rims in the highest point and lean your upper body back and push forward. Yes. Lean your upper body further back. Don't be afraid. Lorna is standing behind you. All right, one more time. Relax. Again, once you make a balance, you have to really have your hands in front of you so you can always protect yourself. Okay. But start from here. Hold the hand rails in the highest point. And look somewhere in front of you. Don't look at your feet. You have to feel it. Your hands in front of you. I'll try to make a little bit deeper balance, so lean the upper body and rise up the casters. And again, down. Once again.
Today I've learned a bit more about back wheel balance doing it slightly differently and getting more confidence. The chair's a Colours Eclipse. I felt it was a good chair, but now I've learned that it's really set up wrong. It's too tippy.
The difficult thing is the wheelchairs people have. They are usually not well adjusted to their needs. So it's a really crucial point. The wheelchair should be set up in the right way for individuals' needs, and then obviously the whole learning process will be much quicker.
When you have a multi-adjustable wheelchair, it's very important that you actually know how to use the facilities that the chair can offer you. And the key to the adjustment of the chair is in the rear wheel of the wheelchair. If we look at this particular wheelchair, you'll see that the rear wheel at the moment is positioned in line with the back upright of the chair. But you can also see that you have the facility to move the wheel further forward. Now what that does for you is the further forward you move the wheel, the more weight you actually put on the wheel, and therefore it becomes easier to push. You can actually pick up more of the wheel and get a longer push per push. The downside to it is that it also becomes tippier, so it's important that that is balanced with your ability to control the chair. As the wheel comes forward, there's less space to transfer in front of the wheel, so again you need to be able to clear the wheel for a safe transfer. So the further back the wheel is, the more stable the chair is and the less mobile it is. The further forward you're able to move the rear wheel, the more mobile the chair becomes, but also the less stable. You can see that you can also move the wheel up and down here. What in effect that does is that it alters the angle of the seat unit in relation to the wheel. As you tilt the seat unit, you will be brought back into the seat of the chair, and therefore you're more stable, but also the harder it is to come forward in your transfer. When you tilt the seat unit, it's important that you also alter the back angle of the chair, so you still have a vertical back for optimum posture. Different chairs have different ways of moving the rear wheel position. On this particular chair you can see that this axle point just moves forwards or backwards in very fine positions. Also, to get the tilt of the seat, you move the axle plate up or down here, or you can indeed turn the axle plate around for different positions. The angle adjustment of the seat to backrest is adjusted by this offset screw here to adjust that. This is a more bespoke chair where you can see that on this particular one it's got a fixed angle here, and also the seat to back angle is fixed, so the only thing you can do is move this bar forwards or backwards. On this particular chair, the principle of moving the rear wheel is very different because the frame of the chair stays the same, but it's actually the seat that moves forwards or backwards on the frame. So if we look at that, you can see that there are adjustments here that you alter up and down, but also forwards and backwards. The backrest angle is adjusted here and positioned through there. This is a less adjustable wheelchair, so you can still take the rear wheel off, but here you've only got the option of either being in front or behind. So if you're in the rearward position, it's very, very stable, but not very mobile. You can also move the wheel up or down, but as the angle here is fixed, you will always maintain the 90 degrees and will only get a tilt and not a bucket effect. Beverly, you're in a chair that's very stable because the wheel is actually quite far back on the frame, but that also means it's quite difficult to get onto back wheel balance. But let's just have a look at you actually popping it up to its back wheels, and I'll be behind and help you. Okay, so just try to flick it up there and just hold it there. Now that's where you're balanced. Just relax into the chair. Now if you look at Ed's chair, you'll see that his wheels are just slightly further forward. So It's not quite so stable, but it's slightly easier for you to come up. So let's just have a look at you trying to, again, pop it onto the back wheels. So push, that's it. And just come back a little bit more. Just allow me to take it back. There, that's where you're balanced. Now, if you look at Igor's chair, you'll see that the wheel is a lot further forward than where the backrest is. So that'll be a lot less stable, but very easy to get onto the back wheels. So if you just come up onto your back wheels now. There. And what Igor can do, he doesn't have to come very high off the ground, but he can actually keep it balanced by leaning forward and still tipping it. He can actually... Okay, just... That's it. Good. He can lift it higher or just have it balanced a lot lower. Okay, Igor, can I just see you balance on your back wheels?
Curbs and thresholds come in many different heights, of course, and the partial wheelie is great for the smaller curb. But for something higher, you need to think about popping a full wheelie. And back wheel balance is the starting point.
What we're going to do now is use that for you to actually get up a steep curb. So you need to drop your wheels. The moment you drop the wheels, you need to get your hands back and push. I'll be behind you and just help you over on the first one. Okay, so come back.
Probably the most difficult thing about this skill is not the individual elements, the back wheel balance, pushing forward, flicking the wheels. It's putting them all together and at just the right time to get up and over the curb. When practicing this skill, it's important to have someone to help and support you. The four most common things that can go wrong are first getting the casters up high enough but dropping them before getting to the curb. The second is flicking the casters up but not high enough to get them on the curb, leaving the footrest stranded instead. The third is getting over-enthusiastic, flicking up a bit too hard and not leaning far enough forward, so the chair tips back as the big wheels hit the curb. The fourth is when the push, after the flick, isn't quite enough to actually get the back wheels following through, up and over the curb. And now, here's the right way to do it.
Right, now come up, and up, drop, lean forward, and push. Lean back.
It's probably easier to learn in stages.
And come round.
First, get the feel of the right point at which to flick the wheels up, and, gauging how high they need to be, land successfully on the curb. Then add in the lean forward and the final push up. After that, it's practice, practice, practice. Always aim to hit the curb square on. When the casters are over the curb, drop them down and lean forward, giving a strong push on the back wheels as they meet the curb.
To go down from the curb, first make a backwheel balance and go forward in this position, again to the edge. And from here, just gently push your chair forward, land first on big wheels and then casters. You definitely cannot land on casters because then your wheelchair will be stopped suddenly and you can fall on your face. So make balance first, back wheel balance, and in this position go forward to the edge and push so you can first land on rear wheels and forwards, yes.
My biggest nightmare is curbs. I'm just not confident enough. But that's because I think if I fall out, I can't get back into the wheelchair. Curbs I've got to do it. Before I go from here, I want to do curbs.
And go. Okay, so again. Keep it back. Yeah. Go on, go on. Go on. Yeah.
This is my four-wheel drive chair. It's got suspension, which is good for going up and down curbs because it bounces. It's got thick tyres which grip, and when you've got kids running across gardens and down the beach and things like that, it's good for that. I have got other chairs, but they're not as good as this chair. So I basically keep this one in the car, and this is my outdoor 4-wheel drive, and my others stay indoors, because I don't think I'd be impressed with these tyres chewing up my carpet. When you first get in a chair, a lot of people think, oh, you won't be able to do this, you can't do that, but you can do everything. It's just got to be done all different.
Popping wheelies and back wheel balancing are incredibly useful and liberating. But not everyone can do them or feels comfortable doing them.
I found the hardest skill to acquire was back wheel balancing. I wasn't taught it when I originally broke my back some 20 odd years ago. I was only taught 4 years ago, and by then I was feeling a bit like an old lady, so I found it difficult. If you find you're not able to do back wheel balance, and not everyone can, they don't have the confidence or the strength to be able to maintain one, then there are other ways around. I find going down backwards, down curbs, it works for me. You just need to learn to lean forward as far as possible.
Okay, Steve, you need to feed your chair back to the edge of the curb. And now lean forward, right forward, chest on your knees, and now feed it down very gently. And stay forward all the time. Stay forward, come off the curb, sit up.
And if someone else is with you, they can safely help you both up and down.
Okay, Steve is going to go up the curb. He can manage to flick the wheels up, but he needs assistance to get up and over. So you need to have your hands on the push handles and have your leg come in as close to the chair as you can, so that you're in close contact at all times. Make sure you bend your knee so that if he does come back, you absorb it in your legs, not in your back, okay? And when Steve comes up to the curb, to start with, I just want you to flick up, Steve, stop, and then come back down so you can feel what you need to do. So if you just come up and flick up and stop, okay? And then come back down. So make sure, Dot, that back is straight and legs down, and keep contact with the handles at all times. Okay, try again now, and this time follow through. When Steve comes to push up the curb, don't try to lift the chair, just push it up and follow through. Okay, so if you come up, flick, and now push and follow through. Flick, and now push and follow through. Okay, Steve is going to go down the curb, but he needs you to hold him back onto the back wheels. Okay, so again, in close on the handles, and make sure that you're there to brace on your leg. You need to hold Steve onto his rear wheels at all times, otherwise he'll flop forward. If you can come up onto your rear wheels now, Steve, and just balance it there. Just feel the weight of the chair, and now feed it forward towards the curb, and just stay close, Dot. Just feed it forward to the curb, and then when it drops down, keep it back and absorb in your legs, that's it, and follow through. Just feel the weight of the chair, and now feed it forward towards the curb, and just stay close, Dot. Just feed it forward to the curb. And then when it drops down, keep it back and absorb in your legs, that's it, and follow through.
Pushing in a conventional wheelchair can sometimes be tiring. A manual assist wheelchair replaces some of the human effort needed to propel a chair, but without the user having to give up control. A difficult surface like gravel is normally negotiated using back wheel balance, or just avoided. Manual assist wheelchairs can move much more easily across shifting surfaces. And on uneven and hilly grass, less effort is needed to push a manual assist wheelchair. You may want to consider a chair like this if you have long distances to travel in a chair, or if you want to go at speed. Another battery-powered option is this add-on for a manual chair. The front fork turns the chair into a three-wheeler with a hand-controlled accelerator and brake system. The power trike enables access for more difficult terrain. Ramps and slopes are something wheelchair users just have to deal with. UK standards require slopes to be no more than 1 in 12, but in reality many slopes will be steeper. In Bournemouth, this path from the beach to the top of the cliff is about as steep as it gets. Endurance as well as technical skill will affect your ability to successfully negotiate any ramp or slope. The steeper the hill, the further forward you'll need to lean to maximise weight on the front casters. And don't forget the effect a heavy bag attached to the back of the chair can have on your balance point.
When I was first in a wheelchair, just simply everything was difficult. I had my accident 13 years ago, and one day suddenly I became tetraplegic and couldn't do most of the things I could do before my accident. And I had to learn again to undress myself, to eat, just simply everything, because the whole life has changed. It took me about 2 years to become totally independent again. Learning from other wheelchair users is definitely the good way of becoming independent.
Coming down a steep slope on 4 wheels might cause you to fall forwards. Using back wheel balance and coming down on 2 wheels can help you avoid this problem. If you prefer to stay on 4 wheels, zigzagging will help you keep control and manage your speed.
Obviously there are 1,000 obstacles around me, but I think that right now I can do everything what is possible for a person with my level of injury. And other obstacles I just accept, otherwise I would become crazy. So I don't perceive them as obstacles, they are just permanent part of my life.
Even steep steps and sills are manageable when you've mastered back wheel balance. Once you're comfortable with back wheel balancing, you'll be managing not only steps but also a slope and wheeling over gravel, all at the same time. If you're not comfortable or confident enough using back wheel balance on your own, you can still go down steep steps and sills backwards with assistance.
Now, when we come back, just help me down here. Just hold on the wheels, lean forward.
Approach, square on, and then lean far enough forward to keep control of your balance.
Come off. Okay, and next one. Just square up. And again, just break the wheels, just feed it down. And come off. Okay.
It's the same principle if you go down several steps.
I was leaning my upper body forward as much as possible. Actually, I was leaning on my lap, and I tried to push hand rims forward on every step.
And I would just really brake the chair to stop it from running down steps while Thomas was changing his handhold.
When going up steps and getting over obstacles, make use of whatever solid objects are to hand. Rails, door handles, door frames. Coming back up with assistance is pretty similar. It involves the lean forward again and a good strong push, and the use of the door frame.
Push.
But either way, don't pull so hard that you yank yourself out of the chair. Remember to take that with you, and do check how strong the objects are before you rely on them for support.
Michael, we're going to have a go at you going up the stairs. Now, it's very important that you only use this as a sort of an emergency skill. It's not something you want to do every day of the week because it's quite a lot of strain on your shoulders. You do need to be very strong, and I know you've got the strength. We've practiced on small stairs, so I know you're able to control your chair. Now we need to put that together and see how you cope with a succession of steps. And I'll use this strap so I can just hold the chair. I won't be able to pull you up, but what I will do is act as a brake so that you won't fly back down. So just line your chair up so that you're square on. Okay, this arm as far up as you can, the other one down. Tilt your chair back now, first of all. Just lean back in the chair. Okay, does that feel balanced to you?
That's good.
All right, and when you're ready, then pull together.
3, 2, 1.
And up. Good. Got your chair?
Yeah,
don't let it tilt back. That's it. Hand up. The other one on the wheel.
Okay.
Yep.
3, 2, 1. I'm going home today after 9 months in hospital. When I first came in, I was able to do very little for myself. I was told I'd be able to do all sorts of things, and now, 9 months later, they really do work. The most difficult things were things like floor-to-chair transfers and going upstairs, all working very smoothly now.
Going up and down stairs and steps should only be done when there's no other accessible alternative. Again, this technique requires significant wheelchair experience and some strength to accomplish. Doing this exposes both wheelchair user and assistant, if there is one, to possible strain and injury. It should only be tried by wheelchair users with good wheelchair skills and an experienced assistant.
Well done. Okay, so both hands on the rails.
Descending a substantial set of stairs is greatly helped when there are 2 handrails to make use of.
And just be careful that you don't pull yourself out of the chair.
The assistant is not holding the chair up. That would be dangerous for both wheelchair user and assistant. The assistant's primary task is to steady and, if necessary, block the chair if the wheelchair user should seem in danger of losing control. This is the safest way, but there are a variety of other techniques which will vary depending on the location and ability of the user and their assistant.
And just flick off on the sit up, and backward balance, straight back.
To do the same thing on your own needs practice and confidence. Grip both handrails first, lean forward, move the back wheels to the top of the stairs and ease them down the steps, one at a time. The casters just follow on. Hold position on each step so you can slide your hands down the rail to grip again before moving down to the next step. Before you start, make sure the steps are deep enough to take the big back wheels. This way, even the most formidable flight of stairs can be managed on your own. But do check first for any more accessible routes.
Escalators are a fantastic way of getting up or down in a shop. Generally speaking, they are wide enough to take your chair, and if you just roll onto it, lean forward, hold onto the handrails, and just keep an eye on the handrails to make sure they're not travelling at a different speed to the escalator itself. If they are, you have to adjust your hands either back or forward as the handrail moves. When you get to the top, you just pull yourself forward and off the escalator. And going down is a reverse of that process. You have to go down, you have to back onto the escalator. Again, lean forward, hold onto the handrails.
A word of caution here. You ride on escalators at your own risk. If alternative facilities like lifts are available, you should use them. You should also make a personal assessment of whether you have the skills and ability to ride an escalator.
And when you get to the bottom, just give yourself a bit of a push backwards, making sure you don't sit up too quickly or stop too quickly, because stopping going backwards, you'll fall out.
This is a useful skill for manoeuvring in tight spaces. Grab the wheelchair by the back wheels and push the body up from the bottom, taking the chair with you.
I'd use chair jumping just anywhere where I need to move the back wheels, but I can't move the front anywhere. In a tight corner, or maybe in a restaurant where I've got the front wheels under the table and I'm trying to move the back wheels sideways to get into a better position. The thing that took the longest to learn was definitely floor-to-chair transfers. Probably 90% technique, 10% strength, but it took a long while to get the technique right. So it was smooth. Very much easier to do it in 2 instalments. Here in the gym I'm doing it on a box, but it could be anything. It could be a stool, or perhaps a low wall, or maybe the sofa.
This is a skill that needs to be developed on an individual basis. The what is clear: to get off the floor and back into the wheelchair. The how depends on the level of injury or incapacity, your strength, and any assistance that may be available. Here are 2 other ways of managing this difficult manoeuvre.
To get back to my chair from the ground, first of all, it's worth to position the chair against the wall or armchair to make it more stable, and the chair has to be put about 90 degrees in relation to my legs. No? Then I have to bend my knees and bring my feet as close to the bump as possible. Lean my upper body forward and block my knees with my chin. Then one hand on the chair and the other one as close as possible to my bum. And this is the starting position. From this point I have to push myself away, going forward until my bum rises up automatically, and then I should only twist my upper body a little bit to reach the sitting surface. It was probably the most difficult skill to acquire in my case, and especially for tetraplegics with a very unstable upper body. It's very tough technique, and it took me at least 6 months to train every day, several times, to do it finally independently. That's all.
I spent a long time trying to learn how to get back in my chair if I ever ended up on the ground, which happens on quite a regular basis because I do tend to push myself. And we established that if I strap my knees together, then it makes it much easier for me. So I always carry a strap with me. I've got several on me at all times, and failing that I can always use my calf strap to strap my knees together. I strap my knees together, I shift my weight forward so I'm squatting on my heels, and that means I'm a bit like a coiled spring. So with one hand holding onto the tube of the frame just by the seat, and the other one on the ground, I can basically spring myself back into the chair and pointing my head away from the direction I want my backside to go. It tends to end up in the chair, which is very useful. In reality, a floor-to-chair transfer is not something you get to do very often, because people tend to appear from anywhere if you're in public to help put you back in the chair, although you really need to stop and talk them through what to do, because people just grab limbs and try and pick them up and expect that to be useful when, generally speaking, it's not.
Having got older, of course, one has to adapt. The thing, one is you don't have the muscle power which you have as a young man or even a middle-aged man. So, whereas once upon a time I used to lift, now I slide. no, I'll take the long way round to avoid the hill. But what is a good thing about, if I can say this, about your strength is you never lose your stamina. I can push all day, as long as the hills are not too steep, as long as everything's on the level. I'm okay. Because if you have the wheelchair skills, there's nothing to stop you from going out and conquering the world. The world's your oyster.
I was persuaded by others to get out of my granny wheelchair, was the way they termed it, and get a modern chair. So I got a rigid frame, but they tip a lot easier, and I had to learn to rebalance. And that's what prompted me to go and get proper wheelchair skills lessons.
Learning wheelchair skills isn't about who's quickest. It's about feeling comfortable and being in control as you move around the house, go shopping, or go out for a walk.
I got my car, my brand new car, with the lift for ease, really. Having lifted wheelchairs in and out of the car for 20 odd years, my back and shoulders were beginning to suffer. And I was very fortunate. I had some money left to me, and this seemed such a good way of spending it, and it's made a huge difference to me. I can go out quite freely. I'm not trying to plan routes to get the maximum done in the shortest possible time with the least transfers. I can go out and enjoy my life. If the weather changes and you're now out in the rain, you're going to get wet like everyone else. But the wheels, your hands won't grip as well. If you've got gloves, they get wet, they tend not to grip as well either. The rims get wet and slippery. If you have to stop on a ramp anywhere and put brakes on, the brakes may not hold the wheels as well as they usually do. But I have to say snow is worse than rain. Snow you tend to get wheel spin. Unless you've got the really thick treaded tyres on, you just get wheel spin and very cold hands. I think the most useful skill I've acquired is just to flip the front wheels, just to tip them, get them off the ground a little bit. You can see the doorways into shops, they have very small lips. Some have big steps, but you come across tiny little things, but you just need to be able to lift the front wheels up a bit. If you can't, then you grind to a halt, and that's not very nice. So that's probably the most useful skill I learned. The most common one, that's what you're doing most of the time, is going forwards and turning. You turn an awful lot in a day. People who are newly injured, I would definitely recommend that they go to the wheelchair skills lessons. If they're in a spinal unit, they'll be having wheelchair skills lessons anyway. Sometimes they can't see the point in trying to back wheel balance, but once you get out there in the big wide world, it's not a perfect world. Much as we would wish there were ramps everywhere, there aren't, and they will come across situations, and that's when the wheelchair skills really kick in and you appreciate what you've learned then. My wheelchair skills lesson was, here's your wheelchair, can you wheel up to the wall, turn around and come back? Fine, you've passed. So the rest I just learnt. But over the years, you learn these skills, you just keep using them and they become a way of life. You don't think about flipping the chair up just to get it up a small curb, going round today. I didn't realise I was using all those wheelchair skills that I know are being put together. You just do it out of habit. It's just a way of living your life. You just do it.
And finally, what's the most important factor in learning wheelchair skills?
Obviously, it's much easier to teach someone who is motivated to do this and has some aims in his or her life than the whole learning process is much quicker.
I think it's important to encourage people to appreciate that for those who come into a rehabilitation unit, like a spinal unit, they will obviously achieve a certain level of independence by the time they go home, but that's not the end of it. Life is a series of challenges, and they have to have the confidence to continue to explore those boundaries and push them ever further as things happen to them, as they gain in confidence.
Backwards, that's a way.
It's just so rewarding when you see them finally achieve that skill, and it hangs together, and just the joy they have of achieving it, and the satisfaction to know that something that they thought 2 months ago they would never ever achieve, and they would swear that this is impossible, and you just plug away at it and you just keep giving them encouragement and direction, and all of a sudden it clicks for them and it's there, and it's suddenly as if, why did I ever doubt that I could do this? And yeah, that's great to see.
Sorry, just need a new book.
Go get a piece of paper then.
I wanted to be fully independent. I want to lead as full a life as possible. I want to be able to go and do things without having to ask for help all the time. And I want to do what everyone does. I want to lead a normal life. So by learning all the wheelchair skills, you're opening up much more of the world to yourself. You can go out and do whatever you want to do.
This video has been sponsored by Ford to create further awareness of their unique service, MAGIC. MAGIC stands for Mobility and General Information Centre, which provides free and comprehensive information to people with a mobility question. All you have to do is to call one free number, 0800 240 241. 30 highly trained customer service advisors, many of whom are themselves disabled, await your call.